Done.
Oh, actually, yeah, where is she? Let me text her.
Done.
I may not have her information. I thought I did. Does anybody have it? Tim, do you know it?
I have her cell phone. I can send her a quick text.
Thank you. I thought I had her, but I guess I don't.
All right, you're up and ready, so it's good to go. Let me know if you need anything.
Can someone forward the email to Maria with the information?
I can. I just don't know what Maria's email is.
Oh, I'll do it. All right, hang on. I have to do it then. There's a lot of different files here. One second. Okay. Okay. Get back to Zoom. Okay. I don't know what that noise is. Maybe we could all just mute, and then if we want to talk, we could then turn off our mute. All right, thank you. Okay, so hi everybody. Welcome to our September meeting. And anyone with kids, happy back to school, hybrid or not hybrid. So first order of business is I'd like to vote to approve the minutes from the July 2020 meeting that Renee prepared and was sent out. I think it was sent out previously, but she resent it today. So I don't know if anyone has any comments, or we could just make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, great, thank you. So the next item is sort of a administrative topic, and it deals with the village communication through Power DMS. And I know it caused confusion for me, and I think it caused confusion for many of us. So we were supposed to log into the system and join this communication site. And if you're having a problem with that, the woman to contact, her name is Karen Johnson. You could let me know and I'll put you in touch with her. She's very helpful, because I know that I was having trouble for at least the first 2 times in logging in. But once you're logged in, then you get regular emails, and the sender, which is confusing, is alertservice@powerdms.com. So it seems very spammy. It just doesn't seem like something that you'd want to click on. But once we've I guess enrolled in the system, that's how you're going to get communication. And when you click on, then there's something that the village is trying to communicate with us, and that's the methodology for how it's going to happen. So it's not very personal. It doesn't say Mamaroneck anywhere. It doesn't say environmental committee. So it seems a little scary, but if you get something from alertservice@powerdms.com, that is this communication vehicle with the village. So I know I was asking Karen to be on the call tonight. She just wasn't free, but Jerry, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. If anybody's had other issues. But as I said, I had issues initially logging in, but I used it today because I got an email from this alert service, and it was basically, I guess they're doing the sexual harassment training virtually, and I had to sign consent that I had gone through the materials and whatever.
Right.
So
you summarized it perfectly. We have about 400 users. We have 150 plus employees, and we have several hundred volunteer firefighters, and we also have 100 plus board members. The firefighters, we were having trouble with them is they were challenged electronically. Many of them were challenge. So we're still going with the traditional in-person training for the sexual harassment. The sexual harassment training that we're trying to get everyone to complete is a requirement that the state of New York put in place in 2018, and it's an annual sexual harassment training. We purchased the Power DMS platform in order to distribute things like policies and the training, and we would have much better record keeping, since it's electronic, of all the individuals who received the policy, for instance, read the policy, and then signed off that they read the policy. Same goes for the sexual harassment training, which is a series of PowerPoint slides and then a quick two question true false questionnaire at the end. But yeah, so anything that you need as far as assistance for any of the board members, just please call Karen Johnson in my office at 777-7703, and she'll assist you with logging on and all of that stuff. And we will send out an email, Ellen, to all of our board members, not just Committee for the Environment, to let them know that, because you just gave me an idea of if I copy that you will get emails from this alert message at Power DMS. I send it to all my board members, then they'll know that it is something that came from the village.
Exactly, and also make sure it's not in your spam folder, because as I said,
Right.
even once I set it up, I was still a little nervous because it's such a generic name, alert service
Right.
at Power DMS, that it didn't signify to me, like you have to remember, oh yeah, that's the village.
Right.
Jerry, this is Martin Hain. There
Mhm.
should be some way to configure that on the system side.
I'm thinking that too, and I'll see if Cliff has some way of doing that, or if Robert can figure something out. You know, I'm filling in for Robert this evening, and so is Jason, actually, because Robert is dealing with his dad. His dad fell, and so he's trying to help his dad recover, and is dealing with that. But we will do that. I agree with you, Martin.
All right, well, if you need any help, yeah,
Good.
I'm always here.
I
I'm always here.
appreciate
Yeah, just give me a call.
Okay, thanks.
Jerry, just
Yes,
a note
David.
on that. The reason I was nervous about clicking on the link when it first appeared is there's been a little bit of a history of our getting, at least I routinely get phishing expeditions addressed to the CFTE asking me to click on sites. And I'm wondering if the village has had a problem with people trying to hack into their systems that way.
Not that David has been brought to my attention. I don't know anyone that has had any issues. We do get from time to time with our director of IT, we do get an email saying that they're please don't click onto this. We did get something that broke through the firewall or whatever the terminology is, but not from outside committee members, David. We haven't gotten any of that.
If any of us do get those kinds of emails, is there a place we can forward them so that other people on the committee and elsewhere could be notified not to click on the link?
Yeah, so you could forward it to me and I will distribute it to Cliff, or you can forward it to Karen Johnson. But if you just send it to me, I'll get it and then I'll know what to do with it, and then I'll direct Cliff to make sure he contacts all of the board members.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, David, just so you don't feel targeted, I was getting a bunch of them from, it would ask for a Microsoft password for CFTE. And I had spoken to Sally. I got a bunch of them. And she said, just don't click on it. So something is going on. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they looked like they were from like Outlook 365 or something.
exactly.
Yeah, I got a few too.
CFTE may stand for something else. We just don't know what it stands for. That's what the problem may be.
No,
Okay.
there's only one CFTE.
Okay. So we ready to move along? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes,
Here.
excellent. Hi. I lost my view here. David Styler. You're up. So David and I and Maria, where we attended the collab meeting in, I guess it was late August. And it was actually a really interesting meeting. And Kristen Anderson, who heads the Larchmont Environmental Committee, really spent a lot of time talking about her leaf blower research initiative, and they are on a path to trying to pass legislation in Larchmont to completely ban gas leaf blowers. But David, I'm going to turn it over to you if you don't mind updating everybody on what was discussed.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's funny. We had the meeting outside, which is really cool. So we were in the park in Larchmont. We all sat around. What the collaborative was discussing was, well, they're in the middle of putting together this tri-municipal effort, which would include us, the Village of Mamaroneck, the town of Mamaroneck, and Larchmont, to make sure that all these municipalities are going to deal with the leaf blowing situation in the same way. So there's consistency in the whole region here, in the whole small region. And they proposed a few ideas, and I think a lot of them are pretty good. And if you haven't heard them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of paraphrase and quote from the document that we were given when we were there. One thing that is proposed is to register each year all landscape companies which propose to operate in any of the municipalities for ease of, I'll quote it, for ease of communication and education. And the database will be shared by all the municipalities for everyone who registers. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And two, the registration for landscapers is free, but as a requirement, landscapers have to attend 2 educational sessions, one spring, one fall, 1 to 1.5 hours each on green landscaping practices. So again, in order to do their work in our municipalities, they have to register. I'm not sure register with whom, it doesn't say it, but register with, I guess, the village the village offices. Initiate outreach and education to landscapers, and these sessions will be hosted in both English and Spanish. Also, the proposal says to initiate outreach and education to homeowners and property owners. Not sure, they don't say exactly how. And private contractors, schools, and town and village departments will work the same rules as homeowners and landscapers. And as Ellen mentioned, the objectives are to move toward eliminating gas-powered leaf blowers over time. They include the idea that this will move toward reducing tax burden by reducing municipality collected yard waste over time. And the other objective is to create ramp-up periods for harmonized regulation. Ramp-up periods mean when to totally phase out gas blowers and bring in electric blowers. So the regulatory specifics based on their adoption of harmonized regulations, and they want to have this done. They are talking about a date for these regulations to go into effect, November 15th of this year. So gas-powered blowers would be eliminated by December 2022. And the period would include the year starting in January 2021. The goal is to eliminate these blowers by December 2022. During this period, gas-powered powered leaf blowers would be restricted to, and this is a difference from what we have now, October 15th to December 15th, as well as 1 week cleanup periods after major storms. And so as just happened. So that's a difference from what we have right now, which is we already, in fact, today's a historic day because today starts the open season for gas blowers. So this proposal would then move the open season to beginning October 15th. And it was noted that due to global warming, leaves are hanging on the trees longer. I guess, Jerry, you would attest to this too, right?
So leaves hang on the trees. Basically, it's basically due to a either wet or dry summer, and
Really,
that,
you don't think
of
it?
course,
So
impacts
it's not connected to temperature.
No, it's the moisture. It's the
Huh.
moisture. Mhm.
Huh. Well, you might want to contribute that idea if you ever talk to anybody in the collaborative.
Okay.
And well, because they were basing that date on the idea that climate change has affected the natural calendar for when leaves begin to fall. But I don't think it makes a huge difference anyway. I don't think anybody really starts picking up leaves until middle of October or even later anyway. And so the electric leaf blower ramp up period would run from January 2021 to December 2022 in the, at the same time as the gas blowers are being phased out. And during the ramp up period, electric leaf blowers would be restricted to the month April 15th to May 30th for spring cleanup, and September 15th to December 15th, the falling leaf season. So that would be taking the place gradually of the gas blowers. And starting January 2023, electric leaf blowers would be legal only from April 15th to May 15th and October 1st to December 15th, as well as 1 week cleanup periods after major storms. And as far as enforcement goes, and I don't, Jerry, you may know more about this than I do, or maybe Dan, you know more about this. The enforcement, according to the collaborative, will utilize the town's current violation values across all municipalities and apply to the new regulations. Violations will be issued to both the landscaper and the property owner. And for first violations, property owners will get a warning and not a violation and fine. So that's the deal there. They did not talk at all about active enforcement, just the means by which that would be done to nail people who use blowers illegally. Also, there was a report by Kristen from a guy who runs a company called Mow Green LLC, not M-O-E like Larry Moe and Curly, M-O-W Green LLC, which advertises itself as a carbon neutral company. This guy gave some facts on battery powered mowers. And he gave a number of reasons why battery-powered mowers are feasible, that they could be recharged on the go, they could be recharged in vehicles that are driving from one place to another, that 97% of homeowners let people charge their battery-powered mowers in their outlets, that there's a slightly higher cost to invest in all this, invest in this new infrastructure and these new tools, but that because there is less maintenance, it pays for itself pretty quickly. So the return on investment's okay. Also, the idea that lawn care companies, when they are blowing leaves, should blow leaves onto tarps and transport them off the property. That way, instead of constant blowing of the entire property. I'm not sure if they had any evidence for that, but that was introduced by Kristen, who was standing up for electric blowers. So that was about it.
Thank you, Dave. So I think the bottom line for us is this is one of a few issues that we'll talk about where we need to decide as a committee if we want to make similar recommendations to our trustees, village board, to have similar legislation. I believe that this is going to the Larchmont board tonight, actually, where she is proposing that they completely eliminated gas power by January 2022, and then had very strict use provisions for electric. So it's pretty drastic. I understand the reasons around it. You know, there's obviously noise issues, health issues for residents and the workers. So, you know, I understand where it's coming from, but I think we need to, we've been talking about this for a while, and I think we need to decide as a committee if we want to sort of jump on this bandwagon as well.
I think the thing I was most surprised about is that the town and the village of Larchmont, the municipal workers will comply with this also,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
something that, like, we can never get them to do. There's always reasons, and that was
Good point.
surprising.
yeah, that surprised me too.
I have a quick question. In the meeting, was there any discussion about like incentives to get landscaping companies to register or to comply, other than just kind of the fear of getting a ticket or getting in trouble? That you mentioned the upfront investment or anything like that. Was there any idea about what might encourage people to participate along the lines of the new program?
I don't remember. I don't remember anything. Wait a second, maybe. Yes, one incentive here. Introduce tax-saving leaf blower alternatives to landscapers and property owners. No, tax-saving leaf blower alternatives. So perhaps if landscapers go battery powered, they would have some kind of tax advantages. It was not specified what it would be.
Yeah, that may be like connecting them to an existing tax incentive or something, or you know, showing them how they could. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds to me more like the idea of having people mulch rather than collect leaves and have them taken to the town or village dump. And the tax saving would be the disposal, not a tax credit or anything to the landscaper, but a tax saving to the village.
Maybe that's right. Yeah, you're right, David. It was tax saving leaf blower alternatives. It was some kind of an overall result for a bigger population. So there was nothing specific for anybody, for landscaping companies that was proposed.
But that's actually an interesting thought, though, because rather than simply being in a position of banning something that people want, if we could, as a committee or as a village, be a proponent of an alternative way of handling these leaves that wouldn't require them to be blown all over the place and then collected and taken to a place where they'd have to be disposed of expensively, but encouraging people to mulch to the extent that that's feasible. I'm not sure it's feasible for every yard, but it may be feasible for a lot of people.
I have a basic elemental question of function, which is, so for example, we've been gone all summer. We came back and basically our yard was kind of crazy overgrown. And I called the guy who mows our yard and I said, could you please come help me trim a bunch of things? And, you know, I had already bagged things, which the village takes away, but then he took everything away in his truck. So where are the landscaping companies taking the things, you know, the biodegradables, the plant debris in their trucks and disposing of them? Is it based on their location of their business? Is it based on, you know, where are they taking it? And can we potentially motivate them having like some benefit by disposing of it? I mean, I'm just trying to see where, if the benefit could be passed on. So like you say, a perk over a requirement. But I don't know the process of what happens to the biodegradables when it goes away.
Some companies may use it to create their own compost and stuff too, but, you know, but each company is going to be individual.
I mean, you could,
Maybe Jerry can help us by telling us how the village handles the materials that are taken by the folks that come by. Where do they go and how
So
expensive
the
is it for the village?
landscapers, so I don't know specifically, David, here in Westchester. I can tell you when I did this work, I did landscaping on Long Island. We had a transfer station in Westbury, and we would dump there. We would get weighed in on the way in, weigh in on the way out, and we would pay what we dumped. We would pay a per ton charge. That company had a facility out east on Long Island, and they would put the material, this green waste, into larger trucks and ship it out there, and then they would make compost out of it and then sell that compost, bag up that compost, and they had a whole operation. So the landscapers are paying for it. I don't know what the current tonnage is, but 20 years ago, you know, it used to be probably $25, $35 a ton to dump that stuff. So I suspect that there's some kind of facility. I just don't know. I haven't been living in Westchester long enough to you know, come across that and see where they are. I suspect that people with larger landscape companies, maybe like Morano here in the village, who owns I think Ridgeway, they probably have some way of creating compost for themselves by using that green waste and decomposing of it and turning it into material that they use on landscape jobs.
I have a question for David. David, was there any discussion at all about how there's limited windows for electrical blowing, how destructive that would be of those of us who have gravel driveways? Any awareness of that at all?
No, that was not mentioned.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. I mean, for instance, in June, my catalpa tree drops a huge amount of vegetation on my gravel driveway. And if my gravel driveway is going to be preserved with its even limited permeability, it's got to be blown. I mean, no question. You can't rake a gravel driveway. So it's a limited, very narrow concern, but it's really serious. And I have no practical alternative but to hope nobody reports me.
Dave, no one will ever report you, Dave.
Yeah. I'm confident of that, but being on this committee gives me a certain amount of guilt when I'm violating. And I'm waiting tomorrow because my driveway's a mess, but tomorrow I'm going to be out there.
You're the only one in the village with a
gravel
permeable surface driveway. So
no,
No, I have one too,
I have one.
but it's not gravel.
I was trying to relieve his guilt. That's all.
That's 100 feet long.
Sure, you're right.
I mean, I would be curious, especially because you know, I don't know if the landscapers based on municipality take to their local facilities, because I know if we go to the DPW, they have a little bin that says, you know, organic waste, which is not compost, it's trees, it's green waste, as you say.
Right.
So I'm assuming that the village is paying for the green waste to go somewhere else, to be done with somewhere else. And where, again, just like compost, where are the commercial entities taking their stuff? They have to take
So
it somewhere.
I just looked it up. It's Moriarty Services, which is located at 20 Valley Place in Larchmont. When I just did a quick search on my other phone, it looks like that this service is like a mulch supplier. So they'll take green waste and then they'll turn it into mulch.
So they take the Village of Mamaronec's green waste in the little dumpsters and they make mulch. So like I've seen it. If you go by New Rochelle, I remember when you ride the train, there's like enormous piles by the train and they're steaming all the time because they're decomposing right there next to the train tracks. So
that's what you're seeing. That's what this is. So
right.
that's what this is. But this is what I believe the local landscapers bring their material to.
Oh, they take it to Larchmont.
Yeah.
Because
I
they
believe
take
that.
commercial waste.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I mean, I'm assuming they have to pay for that service.
Yeah, you have to pay for it because it's going to be something that gets weighed in. You get weighed in, and let me see if I can find some more information on it.
So Ellen,
Yes.
you said you thought this proposal was going before the Larchmont board tonight?
That was what I had in my notes, yeah.
I guess we should find out what they do with it, and then we should figure out whether we want to support it.
Yes, yeah.
And adopt it.
I think it's a great idea. And I mentioned at the meeting that a lot of the lawn care companies are, I didn't know for a fact, but I said it because I thought it was reasonable, that a lot of lawn care companies go to, they don't just stay with one municipality, but let's say a lawn care company that works in the Village of Mamaroneck will also go to Larchmont. So that I think it's really good if we get more control over these lawn care companies. And I thought the idea of having them all register would be great. It would take some enforcement to make sure that they are all registered, that lone wolves are also brought in sooner or later. But I think if it's a concerted effort among the three towns, word will really get out. And I think that this is the most substantial step that we could take. So I'm really all in favor of it. And Jerry, I don't know if you've heard any of this and what you feel about this. And Dan, I don't know what you feel about this. Sounds pretty good to me. I don't know what the problems are though in arranging this.
Problems in arranging a licensing mechanism for the landscapers who work in the Village of Mamaroneck isn't that difficult. If we tie licensing in with material that they sign off on that they've received, that includes our local laws and our restrictions, that would be great, because there's always that, I didn't know. But if they have a license and they sign off that they received the material, then they do know that they have received it.
Yep.
So they should and need to follow it. In my previous municipality, which was 150 miles away, but in my previous municipality, we had a business registration process. And if a business wanted to do business, if a small business, local business wanted to do business in the town, they would pay $35 a year. They'd have a business certificate. Of course, retail stores and small downtown mom and pops, they would hang their business certificate. And then landscape companies who registered, tree companies, exterminators, they would register and they would have their business license. So when they're approached by the police department or some kind of issue, they would be registered in the village. It wasn't too difficult. I think it was over 1,500 businesses that were registered in a small community of 20,000 people. No, 15,000 people actually. We're 20,000 people. And so it worked out fine. Once you sign up, it's an automatic renewal. You just keep signing up year after year after year after you get a letter from the village. So if that's something we want to do, that can be done.
Okay, Martin?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Jerry, too, and that is, the big point that was brought up is that the municipality was also going to be complying And how hard would it be for us to have our municipality comply as well? And in addition to that, has anybody on the group here heard about the American Green Zone Alliance?
No.
No? So AGZA, or the American Green Zone Alliance, is actually a organization that helps municipalities become green in their municipality landscaping stuff. And Southampton, out on Long Island, is a certified green zone. And we could become that as well if we chose to explore it and make that happen. But it basically, anything within the green zone, it only permits electric, even, lawnmowers, everything within that zone. So
Yeah. So Martin, when I I moved here to Mamaroneck from a house, and I had an electric mower, I had an electric blower, and an electric weed whacker, and it was all electric. It was all basically you charge up the battery, and you. I had my little 1/4 acre property, and I took care of my lawn with all electric equipment. We could switch over to all electric backpack blowers. That wouldn't be difficult. We could not, because of the size, move to all electric mowers. We wouldn't be able to do that.
well,
I
actually,
think in a couple of years.
you can, Jerry. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You should look up this American Green Zone Alliance, because they help you convert the big equipment to electric equipment, because it
And I would
is.
be concerned about the initial cost of converting all of our big equipment, but I understand that
Yeah.
as we purchase new equipment, when we get the opportunity to purchase new equipment, we should purchase electric equipment. So as
Yeah,
we can do a conversion over time, that would be fine.
Yeah, and I think they help.
Yeah.
They help set up all the federal funding and all that kind of stuff to make the
Okay,
conversion.
good. Yeah, no, I don't have any issue with going electric. I mean, we when we can, we purchase electric cars, and we do what we have to do to put in charging stations. I know that there's one around the corner on Spruce Street that I can use at any time. So he didn't get that one.
Yeah, right at my house.
Right at your house, yeah. So, but we could do that. Yeah, I think we can do that. I don't think that there's an issue. If we're going to set the example, it's a little uncomfortable for me to start to impose some significant restrictions on landscapers when the municipality is exempt from that. We should be following suit.
So I just sent a link around to everybody if they want to check it out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
Dan, can we put you on the spot and ask you how you think the village board would react to a recommendation from us to investigate and possibly enact something like this?
I hate to try and predict what the village board would do on any subject. The history of those types of proposals with the current board or members of the current board in previous boards has been mixed and difficult. They've exempted the schools, and they've exempted the municipalities. There has been significant pushback on registration in various forms over the years of the landscapers, getting them to understand that you need to register or how to register or whatever. I think I'm not sure that I can predict what would happen. One of the arguments put forth last time in going from gas to electric is the scenario that everybody wanted at one point in time to go to electric houses, and now everybody is paying the price for that. Pun not intended. I would expect pushback. I don't know whether the pushback would be significant or not. Can't tell you. I think it would be worth trying to set forth whatever the committee decides it wishes to do and ask for a work session to discuss it. I think you have a better opportunity of presenting why you believe things are better, should be done this way rather than just sending it to the board.
Why don't we do this? I'll reach out to Kristen, see how their meeting went, see what was discussed, if there's pushback. For me personally, I am in favor of it, but I do think that the window times, the windows of time are very narrow. Because 1 year it could be October, the leaves are falling, another year it could be November. I mean, I think that to say that it's just 1 month is, I mean, we know that climate's changing, weather's different year to year. So I personally think that whether we get the landscapers on board, I think homeowners are gonna have an issue with it. So I think we need to just be mindful of that. But I think we need to move to the next topic. So if anyone has anything else, I'll say another comment.
Just as a point of reference, it's taken months for the tree law to see the light of day.
Yeah.
And it's still lingering, but not as much as it was. And it's taken numerous months on the dog leash law. So I would suspect that this would be not anything that would be done quickly.
Okay. Liam, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, was there any discussion of encouraging homeowners and landscapers to mulch rather than pile their leaves up for sort of disposal?
Absolutely. I mean, that's always the preference. So yes. Wait, I think you're on mute.
Yeah.
Okay. You got it.
That's where the incentives that Tim mentioned might be useful.
Right. I mean, one of the things that was interesting, and I really want to get my guy to do this, but it's tough changing habits, is they were saying that the reason they were picking November is if, let's say, the leaves are falling, late September, October, let the leaves fall and sit there and then mulch them. And that's really healthy for your lawn. And then whatever's left over, then you sort of blow them in November. So that was definitely a part of the whole narrative of what to do with the leaves. What were you mentioning about Tim? Liam, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying that Tim had mentioned the idea of incentivizing people.
Oh, yeah.
So we can incentivize people. But I do think that the idea of being consistent across all three municipalities is good. So maybe Larchmont and the town will sort of get the ball rolling and the village board will feel that pressure. I don't know.
Right. I think people need to be convinced that their lawns are not going to look horrible, that they're actually going to look okay. And, maybe people would, if they have, maybe lawn signs that they're doing this and people kind of see what it look like when they walk by.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's the hearts and minds. They're the hardest things to change.
Yeah. The other thing that was discussed at the meeting, which was why some of us attended, was the topic of 5G. And it was a few weeks ago and I didn't take great notes, but I think it was a lively discussion about what that means and blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is that, and keep in mind that the collab is the town of Mamaroneck. And they were talking about that they really need to update their wireless telecommunications law. I think the village of Mamaroneck's law was last updated in 2002, which is more recent than theirs, which is better. But given 5G, these codes need to be updated. And the city of Rye actually updated theirs last year, which is being used as a template now by the town to take a look at. And I think that we should actually do the same, because 5G, that there's smaller cells that are more, they need more of them around, but they're smaller. And, the health issues are still maybe unproven, but a lot of people think that there are really detrimental health effects from 5G, but it's coming, it's not it's going to be a reality. And I think that the way that we control it as a village is through our code. And this is in the agenda later on, but I'll bring it up now that there's actually a cell tower being proposed right now in the town, 125-foot cell tower at Bonnie Briar Country Club, which is along Weaver Street. And there's definitely a dead cell zone there. I'm sure many people have driven by Weaver in that area. And the call drops also along Fenimore. There's horrible cell service. So from a need point of view in that regard, resiliency or whatever the terminology, yes, a cell tower will be beneficial, but it's very tall. It will stand out. So the planning board of Town of Mamaroneck asked the Sustainability Collaborative to take a look and opine on that. So that's happening now. I just wanted everybody to know about that in case anybody had a vested interest and wanted to get more involved with that. But it does bring to mind the need to have updated codes, because these things can happen at any time, and we need to be able to rely on having thoughtful codes to protect our villages. And I'm sorry, Martin, go ahead.
No, I had a question about what specifically would the code address? Would the update of the code address the location or the number of towers allowed in a certain area, or all of the above?
Well, the code basically would address what are the requirements for a cell tower owner to, they're looking for a permit, right? It's a zoning issue. So can you locate it next to a school? Could it be in a residential neighborhood? What's the height requirements? How many antennas could be on it? I mean, if you looked at the code, which I have briefly, it's pages and pages long. I mean, it covers a lot of things.
No, I'm sure, but that's why I'm asking what changes would you be looking for? Because
Well, the changes that we
4G
made-
rolled out in 2009. So
2009. So our code,
so if our code hasn't changed since 2002.
yeah. So a lot has changed since then. And I think that just to your point with the advancing technology, we should just understand. I mean, it just should be taken a look at. I mean, I haven't really mapped out what we have from 2002 to what the city of Rye did last year. I'm sure it's different. And
Well, yeah, and if you think 2002 was actually still in the infancy of cell phone technology, so we should definitely do something that's
Yes.
newer and updated.
I think so. I mean, Jerry, I don't know if anything is being done about that or if anybody is looking at that, but I would think that our village council at the very least should take a look at what the city of Rye has and see if we need to make any modifications.
We haven't been looking at that, Ellen. It's not something that has been on the work session or anything like that. I do get emails and I do get information once in a while sent to me because I'm the village manager from individuals or agencies. But because of COVID, because of other situations, reduced staffing now that the kids are back in school, all of that stuff, I don't see that happening very soon, but if the committee wants the board to advance it through your liaison, trustee Natchez, we can probably put it on the work session, but we're a little backed up on work sessions right now, so it could take a little while.
Yeah, we're running between 2 to 3 months late.
Yeah, so it's a little backed up.
Okay,
So
well,
Ellen,
I'm just putting it out there as something that there is sort of a living document with Rye, which is nice that we wouldn't have to be recreating the wheel.
Okay.
There is this proposal, which is the town of Mamaroneck, so it's not in our village, but it just sort of brings it into focus, that's all. But I hear you, Jerry, now it's, for many things, it's just a bad time.
so Ellen, I have a question. It would seem to me that the level of intensity of the regulation would to some degree depend on what the science tells us about how problematical 5G is in terms of health effects. And was there any discussion? I did read the materials briefly, and there was some rather vague allegation that it was thought of as dangerous to health, but I didn't see any actual support for that. Do we know anything about that issue?
Well, I actually listened to a webinar, this is probably a couple of months ago, about this topic. And if you listen to that, I mean, it was like everything under the sun, you know, from cancer to fertility. It was really a lot of scary stuff that they were claiming that 5G was, you know, was really bad.
Was it
There are
supported- was it
organizations-
supported by science though?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, you could research this yourselves. I can't. I'm
No,
not.
I have, and that's why I asked.
Okay, I'm
because-
not in a position to make claims or dispute claims, but I'm saying there is a body of research out there. There are many people think that there are health effects. So at the very least, I think that we probably wouldn't want it, you know, within a feet of our home or whether, you know, near a school. I think that would just be sort of, I don't know, I wouldn't, but the fact that for 5G you need more antennas, that just gives me pause because I don't know really what that means, how many feet apart, and maybe you do need to have them in neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's a shorter wavelength.
Yeah.
So that's why you need more towers so that it goes faster, but it's a shorter wavelength.
Okay, right.
And so generally speaking, the amount of radiation that's caused by 5G is not any more than any of the other Gs that we've experienced through our time. But there is the thing where there are more towers because the wavelengths are shorter. So there will be more towers for sure.
Yeah. I could send around after this call or tomorrow. There's an organization, Jerry, I know that you're familiar, and I'm forgetting the name right now, that woman, Ellen Weininger, her organization.
I can't remember the name of the organization. I remember Ellen, of course.
Yeah, and she's really been pressing. So she basically
Grassroots.
Thank you. She works with a lot of
Yeah.
municipalities on issues, and
Yeah.
this is a hot topic for them. So
Yeah.
I'll send it around. I invite anyone to just look at their website articles, materials they have on that about the topic. But you know, it's just that we should be, I think, ready for when this rollout happens, and it should roll out in a thoughtful way, not just let Verizon or whoever come in and just put these things anywhere they want.
Totally agree. Especially if it hasn't been updated since 2002.
Right, it's a while. So, okay, so I'm gonna jump to the next topic if that's okay. So this is, where am I? Okay. So last time we spoke about, you know, the litter around town, around the harbor, and Martin, I think we all loved your idea of
Mr. Trash.
from Baltimore. I just love that idea. So I didn't want it to just sort of fall away. I wanted to keep it on the agenda and see if Jerry or anyone thought that would be something that I don't know how big the Baltimore Harbor is compared to the Mamaroneck Harbor. I imagine it's bigger, but if this would be something that's appropriate for a harbor, and if so, if we could get one, you know, what we could do. If, say, the Sound would sponsor it, or the Marine Education Center, we would do private fundraising. But I just didn't want to let that one drop because I thought it could really be something that would be beneficial, you know, especially now people are using our waterfront more and more.
Yeah, generally speaking, I mean, it would take, you know, finding out who would need to be involved to make it happen first. But Director Shipyards has offered to fabricate it, but of course they would need to get paid for whatever it would cost to make it. And I think the estimates were between like $500,000 and $1 million to make the thing. So it would either take a grant, which we would have to apply for a grant somehow, or do some fundraising, or have the village sponsor it somehow through its funding. So
How do we deal with the mooring fields? Is that not an issue, or?
it's all collected into its own thing and then it's emptied out.
So it's not something that the mooring fields that we have out there, it would disturb that? Or
It shouldn't,
get
no.
into, okay, good.
Yeah, it floats on the water and basically it's skimming the surface. So
Okay.
it's,
good.
you know, and it's basically collecting things off the surface. Now, the one thing that it does do that isn't great is that it will sometimes skim animals off of the surface as well,
Yeah.
and sometimes plants and things like that. But the majority of what it skims off the surface is going to be plastic and floatable debris, floatable marine debris.
So are you saying Director Shipyards? Is that the place near where Brewers was?
Yeah, it's the big gray building that's right, basically
they would-
right. It's right next to the diner.
They would construct this?
Yeah, they are a shipbuilding manufacturer. I don't know if you know that, but they actually build large ships. And the thing that I was actually talking to Liam about earlier is what they've been with the things they've been building recently, and that they've been getting contracts for are the electric ferries, electric powered ferries. So they've actually launched 4 of them so far, and 2 of them are running from Long Island to Norwalk, bringing local produce back and forth across the Sound.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, they're actually a huge ship manufacturing.
Christy seems to know something about that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so-
they're a local company,
Yep.
in my understanding. I believe, I don't know anything about the family, but I know that they've been here. I know they're shipbuilders. They're invested in the community.
Yeah, very invested in
I
community.
think-
They volunteer for Save the Sound for our water monitoring program.
And building electric ferries is about the coolest thing you can do. So yeah, there's a whole area of conversation with that. But please carry on, Martin. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah,
Enthusiastic. I just love it.
no, sing their kudos because they're a great local company that I think a lot of people don't even know they exist.
They don't even know they're there.
Yeah, don't even know they're there because it's just a big gray building. You don't really see what's happening on the other side. But I don't think their headquarters are here. I think their headquarters are actually in Florida, I think Jacksonville. But they do have a location down in Jacksonville, and I think they also have a location, I want to say Australia, New Zealand, something like that. But I can't peg it right off the top of my head.
So Martin, have you spoken to them about this?
I have briefly last year. I talked to them about it, and that's how I know that they'd be interested in actually building it. But that's as far as that conversation can go without having some funding behind it and making it a real project.
But that estimate, there's a, it's like double, like we have to find, would it be worth to have conversations with them to actually see what it would cost? Like 500 to $1 million, that's like either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, sure. If we wanted to create a small subcommittee of a few people to explore this idea, I'd happy to be part of it and, bring some other people along to have the discussion. Sure, definitely.
Well, my kids will be interested in this because I made them go down to the harbor with, gloves on and pick out the stuff in the track it gets into the reeds. So that was at low tide. Now I don't know, can it skim in the reeds or not?
Well, what it does is it sits it would sit at the mouth of where Mamaroneck River empties out into the harbor, because it's not something that travels around the harbor.
Right.
Because everything that enters Mamaroneck River ends up in our harbor, from the beginning of Mamaroneck River all the way to the end. So it would sit at the end and basically collect things that would come out underneath. It would probably be moored next to where that right where the bait shop is, somewhere around there, and just collect things as it comes out of that spillway out into the harbor.
If you create this is Dan, if you create a subcommittee, I might suggest you might want to look at other alternatives. There have been proposals of nets across the Mamaroneck River at Tompkins Avenue Bridge, which is where the village could actually get something down to clean, to take the materials out.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever has to be done, then you have the problem of getting the materials and getting them out and transferring someplace.
Right. Well, that's where the design of this Mr. Trash is pretty ingenious, because it collects everything, puts it into bins, and then somebody just has to come and grab the bins. And
right. But you're like everything else, it's one of those things you gotta.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said it would have to be created. It would have to be created as a program for that the village would support, and it would be part of the DPW's part of cleaning out the trash. Agreed. There are a lot of steps that would need to happen.
I would wonder if we had that, if we could then rent it out to other bodies of water. To make
Well,
that.
it was so successful. I mean, it's something that you want there all the time because trash is coming out all the time.
Yeah.
We don't see it as prevalent because it flows down, you know, when it's heavy rain, it's all, you know, no, you say it goes down 1, 2, 3 pieces at a time, but over an hour, it's 1,000 pieces have gone by. So you would want it there full time. And it's actually been so successful in Baltimore Harbor that they've built 2 more.
Wow.
so, yeah.
Is what's called Director Shipyard, are they building the ones for Baltimore?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, they have not built one to date, but
I see. But they're confident they could do it.
yeah, I mean, if they can build an electric powered ferry boat, I think they can build a trash collector.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I would actually ask them to coordinate with Baltimore and the people who have built the one that already works and learn from those mistakes that have, you know, that they've already found and fixed, you know, because I'm sure it was a learning process for them to create that machine. But the other thing, Dan, is it's actually, you know, the thing in Baltimore Harbor is it's actually become a sightseeing thing where people come to actually see this thing like eat up trash, you know, so it could be a draw for the village.
Understand.
Well, hopefully it would be potentially publicity for director if we were ever to actually take steps forward, because every bay village,
Yep.
North Shore and, you know, New York and Connecticut would hopefully see the value of it. But, you know, it's a good idea to get digging into.
Yeah, and I would also put out the caveat that building the first of something always costs more than the second or third or fourth one of them. So, you know, like Chris is saying, that if, you know, they work out the prototype with us, knowing that eventually they will make money on the other ones that they build, you know, that could be a possibility too. You know, that's always part of a conversation too. We help get this program off the ground for them so they can make money in the future. There.
Well, maybe we could think about, I mean, I know I'd be willing to be on a subcommittee for that if other people want to be part of that and see if we could make something of this.
Oh, well, I can reach out to my contacts there and set up a meeting.
Okay, yes, please do that. That'd be great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'd be interested.
Is that Liam?
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
sorry.
Great.
My internet's fluctuating,
Oh, it's okay.
so
It's
I
okay.
keep going off video, try and keep
No
it working.
All right, so moving to our next topic. So I thought it may be just, we always have so many things on our plate, but I thought, you know, it's always good also to have new initiatives just to keep things fresh. And there's just so much really to focus on. But one of the things was to have a speaker series, and whether it's, you know, a speaker coming to a monthly meeting or whether we have something at another date and time just for our committee or even for the larger community. So just some examples that I had, and, you know, other people reached out to me on this idea of, you know, inviting other environmental committees to come speak at our meeting, like maybe having Kristen Anderson come to speak about the leaf blower, what happens with that, or, you know, I know that Rye has a very active environmental committee, so there's some of the river towns. So just sort of hearing what's going on in some other towns, their initiatives, their successes, lessons learned. Another idea was the Green New Deal, you know, how that would impact municipalities. And then Dave had sent along an article about climate studies in schools, whether we find out, you know, what are our schools doing? Is there something that we could, you know, maybe suggest to augment that? So those are just sort of 3 topics, just ideas floating around. But I thought a speaker series would just be interesting. And then that just sort of ties in with Tim, you had inquired about public programming, which we had been doing before, you know, COVID hit. I mentioned to you that we had 2 showings of the film Wasted, with a talk back with a local chef that's been involved with the food waste recycling space. Obviously we have a clean and green, we had that mulching event. So, we've been out in the public trying to gain awareness of things, but I love your idea of trying to maybe create videos and getting that out there. So I guess those two initiatives could sort of intersect in some ways. But I'd love to have a bit of a discussion around what people think about and if any of those things resonate with them and would want to get involved with any of those things.
I think it's great. I mean, I think over the years that I've been a part of CFTE, some of the best things that we've done is when we've had people come in and explain a bunch of things to us about different things from different organizations, even like the DEC or different, have wastewater treatment people come in, it's been great. Yeah, now it's really tough though, obviously because of COVID, it's very difficult. The one thing I was thinking that might be an avenue for us if we wanted to talk to people is to maybe team up with LMC TV and see if maybe we could create a program or something because, they're always looking for programming. So maybe we could do a, half-hour show about something where we do demonstrations or different things like that, or talk about that kind of stuff. That might be a way to get into people's faces.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as part of my questions about the public programming and media side of things. That's what I do for a living. So and what I'm passionate about, and the storytelling and video and content. So I wanted to bring that to the group. And I'm getting involved with LMC as well. And still exactly not sure how, but in one of the boards or committees that they have. So that would be a bridge I'd love to build there to help use that resource. And I felt I'm new to the group. So one thing that I got excited about, and I don't know the history of this within CFTE, is more public facing stuff about, I know the mulching and mowing thing happened right when we landed in town, and more stuff like that I could help contribute to too, where we're, speaking to people about a leaf blower plan, or, talking to them about the, efforts to clean up the harbor, whatever that might be, or a nature walk, in the marshlands or something like that could be programmed. I'd be interested in supporting that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to work with you on some of that stuff. Sounds great.
One kind of like procedural question is, I just wonder, like, what are the mechanisms that this committee can speak to the community, the village, residents? Like, is it through a certain Facebook page? Is it, what are the tools that we have for that or have used in the past?
Well, Robert, who's not on this call tonight, is the communications guy for the village. So he handles our social media. So I would suggest you reach out to Robert. But yeah, he has a lot of different, I know that he's on Facebook and through different groups. And I don't know if he uses other social media, but.
Yeah, but he has the authority to make posts.
Yeah.
We can't
speak as the village.
Because it's coming from the village.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
He actually used to be on our committee, so he's very familiar with what we've done in the past.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to, even for the next meeting, I mean, I know David Friedman, you said that you may have somebody who could come and talk to us about what's in the Green New Deal and what it would mean for municipalities. I think that would be an interesting topic.
Ellen, I'm not sure how many people on the committee know how community access TV works at LMC, but anybody in the community can generate your own programs and they will post them. They are obliged to, without any reference to content. So if we generate a program, they will post it. Now, there's some limitations on access to their cameras and such today, but we can get around that. And there are, if you do it on an iPad or something, there may be some compatibility problems, but they can get over that. But we can generate programming. and they will put them on because that's their obligation under Community Access TV. I mean, I'm an authorized camera person for LMC, and I've been a volunteer for years, and I know that we can do that. So it's really a matter of the limitations are our own imagination, not access to LMC.
No, I didn't think it was access to LMC, but we would have to curate our content because we can't just say anything as CFTE.
Totally correct.
Okay. I mean, if we decide to, for example, have direct a shipyard and we want to, you know, build this boat and we wanted to fundraise, I guess we could do a video with a fundraising campaign.
Yeah, we could do a tour of the shipyard if we wanted to, or something like that. We could do, you know, it's like David's saying, we could do anything as long as it falls within our purview as CFTE, I think.
Correct.
We just wouldn't want to be doing anything, but you know, as long as I think it falls within our purview, I think sky's the limit.
Correct.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, good.
Well, I'd offer to, I don't know if there is a communications subcommittee or content, you know, and messaging, but if that, it feels like there needs to be, or there should be hands on the reins in that regard for stuff to actually get planned and made and distributed and put out. So I would.
I think you just volunteered.
I just did.
Done. There we go.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to speak with Robert too, and then by the next meeting, I'll definitely come back with something to talk about in that regard.
Sorry, Tim. Tim. That's the way this works sometimes.
I'm learning.
That leads me into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is exactly what I want in that regard, which is the National Drive Electric Week. I had sent you that information. So this is through Sustainable Westchester, and they're actually asking for municipalities to send videos that they're going to put up on their website and promote for the week of September 26th through October 4th. And I think that our village has done a great job. I mean, we have, you know, some of our municipal vehicles are electric. We have the charging stations. So I think that would actually maybe be something to start with. Just a thought. And I think that I'm hoping that Robert does do something on social media about that.
Hey, Alan, if we have a few minutes at the end here, I'd like to show something to everyone too that I think everyone will find really interesting.
Oh, you have my curiosity piqued. Okay, we'll make time. Sure.
So, but we rely on Robert to produce this content, right?
No, I mean, we could rely on him to create social media posts, but anything that's really highly, creative or edited, no, that's not Robert.
Yeah.
But you could
So
certainly.
we would, for Drive Electric Week, we would have to get out there and start filming and editing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and then you know, we'd supply it to Robert, and he would either post it to the village YouTube page and then link it through social media from there. He's the aggregator, onto the village channels.
I mean, Liam, I had this idea of, I don't know how many electric vehicle owners there are in the village, but if we wanted to have like an electric vehicle car parade, for example, and somebody could film that, I just thought that could be a fun thing to post.
It would be really quiet.
It would be very quiet. Well, you could honk your horn or play music. Yes, it would be very quiet.
But that's the best part. It'd be
And I
really
think we
quiet.
should also just publicize the charging stations that we have, because I wonder if people really know about those. I thought I saw a hand. Dan, were you raising your hand?
Yeah, I do have a question. How many charging stations are there in the village?
Jerry, there
Two.
too? Yeah.
2 at the Hunter lot.
That's the one across from Village Hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
So could bicycles participate? Like,
Sure.
I mean, this, we're talking about less than 10 days from now, but, you know, I love the idea of a parade for anything positive. So, you know, I'd be walking or biking with it and supporting it, even though I don't have an electric vehicle. But, you know, this turns into a big thing and we're 10 days away. So,
Right, we're 10 days away. Well, I don't know. Should we do it?
Martin, how many
Well, I
electric
know,
cars do you have?
I know
How
one
many electric
person with
cars
a
do I have?
Tesla, two people with a Tesla.
Only one. I have a
And I
charger.
have a plug-in hybrid, so as long as we're parading less than 17 miles, I can be all electric.
Yeah, we definitely be less than 17 miles. All right, well, let's think about this. I'm writing this down. Okay. All right, so then I just want to, these are just sort of two FYIs, that on the Sustainable Westchester site, there is something called the Burbio calendar. Why it's called Burbio, I don't know. But I had a instructional meeting with this woman who runs the calendar, and she told me how we could add our own events if we want to. So whatever we do, we could put it out on that calendar, which is nice. And then I also just recommend people, you guys, to check it out. That there's a lot of events that go on, especially if you have young kids. There's a lot of things out there that you just may not be aware of, and it's really a useful calendar. And that's on sustainablewestchester.org. And then I participated in a webinar, this organization called Opt-in. Well, no, it's an opt-in policy campaign, which I think is a terrible name, but it's basically a national effort to reduce single-use plastic with takeout food. So it's wanting the, I don't know if any of you use like the food delivery apps, you know, like Grubhub, Uber Eats, any of those, that there should be an opt-in if you want to get, you know, plastic utensils or condiments or whatever.
Right.
So there is a national, I just wanted, this is just FYI, people to know that this is going on, which I think is great. My kids are doing a lot of take-in during this COVID, and it makes me crazy, all the unnecessary plastic that keeps coming along with it. So if anybody, you know, wants to get plugged into that, there's regular calls, and I've only been able to listen on one of them. But it seems like a really organized effort to do that. So last topics are having to do with the food waste recycling program. Jerry, I don't know if you have stats for July and August that we could see.
I don't. I didn't put any together. I'll make sure that as soon as we have them, that either my office sends them or Robert sends them along to the committee.
Okay. So I just wanted to, this wasn't on the agenda, but it sort of came up. So I think everybody's aware about the county effort to, you know, that they awarded Suburban Carting, which is actually right here in Mamaroneck. It's next to our DPW. They awarded them the contract to be the transfer station for all the municipalities to transfer their food waste to Mamaroneck, and then it gets hauled up to Ulster County. And this was an effort by Latimer to basically give municipalities that really maybe couldn't afford to have this program, and for just sort of, you know, equal access. And so now it is sort of next door. And I know that the town of Mamaroneck and Larchmont are sort of taking this initiative as maybe, you know, that maybe now is the time to reinvigorate the conversation around curbside pickup. Now we are sort of fortunate that we have ASAP Scraps. These guys are amazing. I use the service. I think they're great. But you know, it is a high school group that's doing this, and that, I guess, Jerry, I'm wondering, is this sort of the thing that will make us look harder at doing curbside, particularly now that with COVID, I think that everybody's sort of gotten used to curbside pickup, right? I think that it would be very easy not to go back to having pickup at the back of your house. Everybody's used to, you know, bringing everything to the curb. So I always heard that that was sort of the issue why they couldn't do the food waste pickup, because they didn't have the time.
Correct. So the high school kids have 80 customers now, or 80 pickups per week that they do. We just spoke to them about opening up the transfer station on Saturday. This Saturday will be the first Saturday since we closed it because of COVID that we will open during the regular Saturday hours that we had before, before COVID hit. So we will have Saturday drop off again down at Fayette. 80. So this high school group, I think they're going on their second year, and they have 80. I'm not really sure, but it would take an investment in individual containers, to pick up the food waste. If you want to put your little green bucket out there, that might work. But the way we do recycling, which is somewhat inefficient, is that we send multiple trucks throughout the village to pick up individual items. And this would be an additional vehicle to go out there and make the rounds and pick up the food scrap. So while everyone or almost everyone on every street puts out cardboard or puts out bottles or puts out plastic, I don't know how efficient it would be for someone driving a route truck to go down in and out every street to see if there's any food scraps. So it would really be a subscription type of service, which the kids are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to gauge how many more customers, air quotes, we would get than the kids have gotten so far. So, and I don't know if Larchmont or the town have a group of kids like we do getting out there and picking up their food scraps off of the front steps or the driveway.
I don't think they do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they're getting paid too. I mean, you wouldn't have to pay the village to pick up food scraps. So that's why they only have 80, I think.
Yeah, it could be too, Martin. You're right. But there's a little bit of cost factor involved. You're right.
Yeah, but the other alternative too is maybe there could be collection stations that are positioned around the village where, just like the clothing bins that are around, there are food scrap bins, where they could be placed at different locations that are, can stand being smelly and not bother a neighbor.
Yeah, we have a lot of municipal properties that we could probably put something
right.
to drop off.
So that somebody would only have to go a few blocks, or a block or whatever, but then it could be collected that way. That's an option too.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Because then we would just hit those collection stops, those collection stations.
Right, correct.
A couple of times a week, and that's a much easier process. If we had one in Phyllis Park Road, everyone in your neighborhood could just walk over or drive over and dump it out there instead of expecting the front stoop pickup type of thing.
Yeah, and I think people would do it more frequently that way too, because I know
that's a good
I know myself, I wait till mine's full to go all the way over to the recycling center.
Yeah.
I think that when Robert was a part of the committee, did a survey about location drops. He had it on an online survey that he did, and so there was a lot of feedback with that. He might have some information as to where people felt was a convenient location drop for that.
That's great.
I think he got into schools and churches, which are obviously not in the control of the village, but maybe some feedback on where people might find it convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, this may be one, I'm sort of of two minds. One is selfishly, I feel like I'm good. These guys at ASAP, they're providing a service.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I just wonder if we had, it's a little bit of a chicken and egg, because if we had the municipal pickup, would that increase our residential program? Would more people be in the program? So
right.
If it grows the program through that, then that is worth it. If it's just people switching from ASAP over to the village, then that really doesn't make a difference.
Well, if there's If there's a local drop area, I'll tell you, I'm leaving town on Thursday and ASAP doesn't pick up now until Saturday. And so I have to put it out and I can't put it out for 3 days. So I think having, I have to plan into my Thursday to make sure I go and drop my compost off. So if there was something a little closer, something that, was in.
Well, it's a way to spread the word about the program too, by having these.
It's easier if it makes it easier. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it might be a nice segue, Ellen, to what you're looking at. To full pickup. This might be the nice in between, where it's like, okay, we've proven that it's a viable program and that people want it, but now we're trying to eliminate the hassle of having to take it all the way to the recycling center. So the next step seems to me to be logical, to have an in-between step, which is these drop-off stations, and see if that does increase. And if it doesn't, well, then we haven't invested in a new truck and like all this other kind of stuff.
Well, having different drop-off stations, though, wouldn't you need somebody to be sort of supervising that?
I see it very messy. I think you can't leave it out overnight. It's like animals would get there's so many more animals now out on the street. And if someone doesn't close it correctly, can you imagine? I just see a lot of issues arising.
Yeah, I do too. I agree with Maria. I don't think you could just have a drop off somewhere. I mean, we all live maybe like a mile or two from Fayette. So if you're going to have to actually drop it somewhere, I would just say go the extra step and bring it there. You have Robert who's helping you. He rinses out the bin. I think the issue is whether we have curbside pickup, like Scarsdale, like other towns, or we don't. And I think Scarsdale is opt-in. They don't just go street by street by street. They have a map of where residents are in the program. So they're not just driving around.
That's different. That's much more efficient.
It's much more efficient. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But I think it adds a lot of legitimacy to the program, because people see, oh, there's a big garbage truck picking up at their house. Like, actually, it's funny because somebody on Nextdoor, I saw recently had a post, someone I knew who lives around the corner. She said, what are all those little green bins that everybody's, like, she was wondering, what is that I'm seeing out being put out on Fridays? And it generated a really nice conversation on Nextdoor. It was a good opportunity to sort of spread the word. So the more of those you have out, the more, the more it will happen.
Ellen, do you know if Scarsdale had to invest in like a special truck to pick up the compost?
I want to say they retrofitted one, but I really, we were supposed to have them at our meeting like way back in March, because the Scarsdale people, they're like the gurus of this whole program. So Renee, I don't have a really great answer for you.
There's our first guest.
Yeah, well, Michelle and Ron
Yeah.
from Scarsdale are amazing. But yes, they were supposed. I said they were on the docket for March, and then
Invite him to the next meeting.
So I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
They're powerhouse. They'd be very exciting.
They're very exciting. They're very inspirational. They were very involved with the whole county program. Well, that's all I had. So I'm going to turn it over to Martin for that.
Ellen, I have a quick question.
Oh,
So
sure.
is your proposal to eliminate one garbage day or just do it on the same pickup day as recycling?
I don't think that we're at the point of eliminating a garbage day. I think there would be a lot of upset over that.
Absolutely.
I mean, down the road, I would see it, because someone, for myself, who uses this compost program, I could live with only 1 day a week garbage. I think until people are in the program and see that, that would cause a lot, I think, of a
I would think it would be a problem as well.
I think it would just cause an uproar unnecessarily. But I think that if I had always heard that as I said, the issue is that because we're going and picking up in people's backyards, and it takes more time. So I think that there's a big time saving now, because everything is curbside, that it would hopefully there be a day, if let's say if ASAP is doing 80 homes, maybe it's 100 homes, maybe it's 150 homes.
I get it.
They could do that in an afternoon.
No, I was just pointing out, I think it would be a problem and an uproar as well.
I agree.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, Jason, am I allowed to share my screen?
You are. You can share away.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm showing you is we just launched this for Save the Sound. It's called the Sound Health Explorer, and what it does is it allows you to investigate the health of the waters all around Long Island Sound, and we've broken it down into three areas called swimmable, fishable, and livable. Swimmable meaning your beaches and coastal areas, fishable meaning your bays and your open waters, and livable meaning just what that picture just showed there, where we live and how sea level rise can affect your where you live. So one of the cool features is you can share and it will go out there and it'll bring back, this is your closest beach, and the grade of our closest beach here, Harbor Island Beach, is a D. Our closest water body is the Eastern Narrows, that gets a C, and the average sea level rise by 2050 for New York is 1 foot 8 inches. So that's just information on the homepage where we have, you know, different campaigns and different challenges, environmental challenges to Long Island Sound, but also actions that you can take. And it's broken down into actions that you can take at home, that you can volunteer for, that you can advocate for, or of course you can support Long Island Sound, support Save the Sound. But the really cool thing is we've basically taken all the data that's collected by the EPA, by our programs, and by other groups all around Long Island Sound, and put it into basically created a data visualization tool where you can go in here and see all the different areas that are available. So if you want to see the health of the different beaches, you can go into Harbor Island Beach. And this tells you all about all the samples that were taken in Harbor Island Beach over time. You can go back through the years. It'll take you all through all the different years, all the way back to 2003 of the historic water quality data that is available for all the different water tests that were done for that area. Excuse me. But one of the really cool things about the big map is that if you zoom out to the whole map, you can go over here to the map layers and you can look at, you know, where are all the wastewater treatment plants. These are all the wastewater treatment plants that are in Long Island Sound. You want to know where the combined sewer outflows are. These are all the areas that are basically pumping raw sewage into Long Island Sound. If you want to know what our watersheds are, these are our watersheds that feed into Long Island Sound. If you want to see the amount of impervious surface that is covered within each zone, that's all in here in the map as well as beach access and different ways to report pollution. So if you ever see anything, you can go on here and fill out a form and say, hey, I've seen this happening in one of the rivers or one of the fishways or something. So if you go to fishable, and these are open water grades. So these are different areas: the Eastern Basin, Central Basin, Eastern Narrows, Western Narrows, which is typically bad because of all the things that happen around New York City. But also you have all of your measurements of the different types of indicators like dissolved oxygen, the water clarity, and the chlorophyll that is in the water itself. And then if you go to livable, there's actually a sea level rise tool here that was built by Climate Central, where you can go in, and this takes a little while to load, but it actually is modeled on sea level rise, and you can zoom in and see how sea level rise. We get 5 feet of water, we get 7 feet of water, 8 feet of water. You'll see what will be underwater as you go. And the cool thing is you can go in here and see all the environmental challenges, from marine debris, sewer overflows, animal waste, septic system leaks, climate change, wetland depletion, all that different kind of stuff. And if you go into one of these challenges, like I said, here's sewer overflows. These are all the different things that you can do. You can report the pollution, you can inspect your sewer lines. So I just wanted to, familiarize you guys with this tool because it is pretty handy for anybody that wants to see if it's safe to swim, see if it's safe to eat the fish that you're pulling out of the water, see if it's safe to eat the shellfish that are being caught in a certain area. And the one thing that is really great for us who are all involved in local stuff is if you look at these different types of things, it's like, why is this beach getting an A and these are getting C's and this is getting a D? Well, part of the problem is because of our wastewater treatment plant. has a combined sewer outflow that basically anytime it rains and there's too much water going into the wastewater treatment plant, then raw sewage just goes straight out into our harbor. So that's it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of this and let you know that it's available. Everyone's look at, again, it's soundhealthexplorer.org, and check it out. Or if you have any questions while I have it up, I can answer any questions.
Martin, I mean, this is great. And I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. The one thing I wonder is, I know some days, like at the beach, at the harbor, they'll say, you know, the beach is closed today because of heavy rains or whatever. I see the site has a lot of history, but if there was an event like that, would it have real-time information?
Yeah, that's what this is for right here. You have current conditions, and that links right out to all the local, whatever local Department of Health is for that beach. It will go directly to that site and tell you what the exact conditions are at that moment.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's impossible for us to have real-time data because any of the testing takes, you know, basically 24 hours to be completed.
Right.
But it's a way that we felt that this was a way for us to allow people, like you're saying, like if you want to know, like, what is it today?
Yeah.
You know, while you're looking up stuff. And the other thing that we put on here too are the amenities of the different beaches, you know, whether it's paid parking, lifeguard, what the beach access is, whether it's public, private, whether you need a pass to get onto the beach, different things like that are also on here. And then you can really get into the data if you want to. If you want to, I mean, if you're a data hound and you really want to get into it, you can really dive deep into the data and actually download all the data here into spreadsheets and do your own analysis and check all, you know, do anything you want. But for the layman, for the common man, we created this interface where it basically visualizes it in a way that anyone from, 4 to 50, or 85 could look at it and see what it's all about.
Thank you. This is amazing.
Thanks.
Is this your day job?
Yeah. Yeah. So we just launched this 2 weeks ago.
Wow. How do you get the word out?
Well, we are actually releasing a Long Island Sound report card along with we're going to have a press release and a whole bunch of stuff happening at the beginning of October. We're still adding a few more features to the site. This is basically the soft launch. It's up right now just for people to sort of mess around with it and tell us what's wrong. Yeah, so there'll be a big to do in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Big kudos. That's
Yeah.
an enormous amount of work to make data interfaceable like that. And it's really well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a really, really valuable tool.
Yeah, it is, and you can easily, and it works on mobile too, so it's all mobile friendly as well. So, if you're out and about and you're like, hey, I want to go to this beach, and you want to check it out, you can type it in and find out all about it.
Wow.
Jerry, can we link that from the village website?
Yeah, we could.
I think it's a great resource for people to be able to use.
Martin, we'll just have to, if there's any way you can send it to Robert and I don't do any linking to anything. So
Yeah.
Robert takes care of that for me, but we could.
I can get it to Robert. That's great.
That's great.
One last thing I wanted to point out is the reason we put beach access on here is because it's an environmental justice thing. So even though we have all these beaches, watch this. So these are public beaches. You'll notice that Westchester just disappeared. So
Yeah,
for public beaches. So this becomes an environmental justice issue where there are a lot of people who are inland and would love to go to the beach, but there aren't any public beaches because they're either controlled by the municipalities where only local residents with passes can get on, or you have to have a permit, but it's not free access. So that's, again, one of the issues that we're working on. But you can see these are all the private beaches. Local resident with an ID, public with a pass, and just straight out public. But yeah, around our Westchester area, nothing. So,
Connecticut's loaded.
yeah.
Martin,
Well,
again, I think, sorry, I think that this is wonderful, and I would also be motivated to reach out to beach and yacht clubs, because I think that they might find these useful, because yes, they do control a lot of the areas, but there are municipal marinas as well in through Westchester that we utilize. I think that coastline, our New York coastline, that is not Long Island, but from, you know, from the Bronx to Connecticut. I mean, personally, I'm involved with many of the access to facilities, be it private or public. I think that the word should get out, because this is an amazing tool.
Yeah, it's something that we're actually going to push next spring, right before the swim season. It's going to be a big thing that we're going to push about public access and different things like that. So we're actually working on that report that's going to be our winter project. But one thing that's also on here is boat launches. So where all these blue dots just showed up, that's where you can launch a boat from too.
well, I found that now during COVID that a lot of beaches became residents only, more than ever, even in Connecticut. So how is this pre-COVID? Because it changed drastically. So is it like now or?
No, yeah, this is current, and actually you'll find, I'm not sure which ones have it, but in this area right here, when you click on the beach, if it is specific, if it has specific COVID things, it shows up right in this area here. If it has
Right.
COVID regulation.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of residential beaches in Long Island became residents only that were not.
Yeah.
Used to be able to pay to
Yeah,
get
so
in.
it lists its traditional, you know, if it's a public beach or whatever, it'll list that as
That's great.
traditional. But then it'll also have the COVID conditions that are going on as well.
I could have used this during the summer, you know.
Yeah, it took a little longer doing it.
No, it's great.
Building it via Zoom meetings and stuff, but
Yeah, no, it's great.
but it really came together. So yeah, so I knew you guys would be interested, so I just wanted to share it with you guys. And like I said, you know, down here shows the precipitation data too, and there's analysis on, you know, how wet weather affects, you know, good grades versus bad grades, what, you know, whether it's safer to swim. You know, it's sometimes good to look at the historic data, because you're like, okay, it just rained 3 days. How does this beach perform usually when it rains? And if it usually fails after a rain, well, then you don't want to go swimming. So, regardless of whether you got the test results or not.
It's great. Thank you.
Yep. Stop sharing.
Martin.
There we go.
Okay, well, that was a nice way to end the meeting.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to having a dig around that, Martin.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. I tell you, a lot of people have lost a lot of time on there.
I didn't know it's under amenities. I'm always looking for beaches to take my dog. Is that one of the amenities listed?
I don't think dog friendly is on there, but that might be a good addition. So
The only
there's also mechanisms in there for you to send us if you find something that's wrong. You know, there's a form in there too to say, hey, that's not correct. Let us know. You know, so
Thank you.
if you have
I
any
just want.
ideas,
Go ahead.
definitely let me know.
Go ahead, Maria.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. So after our last meeting, I did start taking walks down the harbor and picking up trash on my own. I found it in very good shape, the harbor, I have to say. Jerry, if you're still on there, I think they're doing, I mean, there's little papers here and there, little things, but all in all, really very clean. It's just little minute things, you know, the very tiny things. That stretch of Boston Post Road, especially in front of the plant, the sewage, that's bad.
Yeah.
Everything, there's like, seems not to be enough garbages there.
Yeah.
There's none actually till you pass the sewage plant. And then there's like about 2 between the end of it and Orienta. There's like 2. So I think
I'll have Barry take a look.
Yeah. And the one thing I found is the, which is pre your time, Jerry, is the bins for the recycling have lids that have like a cup, a size of a cup. Now cups are so big that the hole in there is not big enough to fit the cup. So everybody just
see.
leaves one cup in there. So there's 4 holes and there's a cup in each one. And it's
Yeah.
like nothing else can get in. So I think we need to like vamp that up and put something else, because everyone gets the big coffees and they're so wide that it just doesn't fit in
You
the
need to
bin.
do it. You need to do it de Blasio, Jerry, and like we can only have small sodas in the.
Yeah.
Those tiny sodas,
Yeah.
those tiny little sodas.
Yeah.
So some recycling bins have lids, some recycling trash cans have lids that have one hole in the center that's large enough
I
to
haven't
accept all
seen
of
any
those.
like that at the harbor, and I
Okay.
walked the whole.
So we'll take a
thing.
look at those lids.
Yeah,
If
they
it's
all-
just
they
a matter
all-
of changing lids, we can handle that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was
sure.
very well. The sanitizer there at the beach, you know, everything was looking really, really, really
Yeah.
good.
Well,
Just little stuff.
you may have caught it on the day after Liam's kids were there.
Yeah, no, I went many, many days. That's
Okay,
like
when I was
my
there, it
route.
wasn't looking so good, so I'm glad it looks better.
Yeah, no, the Boston Post Road is bad there, especially in front of the sewage plant. It was like overload. But then once you get into the harbor, because I live right here, off Fenimore, and then I just go down and do the whole circuit. It's just little minute things that just escape.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that area is being used a lot more than it has.
A lot.
So we need more
Yeah.
receptacles.
Yeah. So yeah, anyone else wants to join in picking up trash?
Text me, Maria, I'll join you.
Okay.
All right, guys, well, I think that we're done here.
Okay.
So motion to adjourn.
A second.
All right. Be well, everybody. I'll see you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.